Every great manager has one. A trusted circle. People who never stand in the spotlight, never lift the trophy, never hear their name chanted by 60,000 fans inside a stadium. But without them, none of it happens. When Michael Carrick walked back through the doors of Manchester United, all eyes were on him. The cameras followed his every move. The back pages carried his name. The debate started immediately. Could he do it? Could he bring something genuinely new to a club that has been searching for its identity? But behind him, quietly and deliberately, a small team of coaches moved into place. And almost nobody noticed. Today, we change that. If you're new here, Beyond 90 Minutes is where we explore the stories football forgets to tell. The decisions made behind closed doors. The people who shape the game without ever being on it. Subscribe now, because this is exactly what we do here. To understand who is working behind Carrick, you first need to understand Carrick himself. 16 years at Manchester United as a player. Not the headline act. Not the player who filled the back pages. But the quiet conductor of the midfield. The one who set the tempo, read the game 3 moves ahead, and made the genuinely difficult look effortless. He learned under Sir Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest managers football has ever seen. He played under Jose Mourinho, one of the most tactically precise minds the game has ever produced. He watched, absorbed, and understood not just how to play, but how a football club is built from the inside out. Control, patience, structure, trust. But here is the part most people miss entirely. That philosophy, that way of playing, does not come from Carrick alone. It comes from the people around him. The coaches designing sessions before the squad arrives. The analysts breaking down opposition footage frame by frame. The assistants who challenge his thinking privately. So when Carrick stands in front of his players, there is no uncertainty in the room. That team matters. Profoundly. Think about the managers you admire most in football. Ferguson, Guardiola, Ancelotti. Study their careers closely, and you will find the same pattern every single time. They were never alone. Ferguson had Archie Knox as his first assistant, the hard voice when Ferguson needed to be the calm one. He had Carlos Queiroz, the tactical architect behind some of United's most dominant European campaigns. Guardiola has Joan Malillo, a man whose influence is so significant that coaches across 3 continents study his methods. Ancelotti built his entire career on surrounding himself with specialists who filled the gaps that every manager, no matter how brilliant, inevitably has. Modern football is too complex for any single person to manage alone. A head coach needs specialists. Set-piece analysts who have studied every dead ball situation an opponent has faced in the last 3 months. Physical coaches who know exactly which players need loading and which need protecting. Video analysts who can decode an opponent's pressing triggers in under 24 hours. The managers who truly succeed, consistently, are the ones who build the right room. Do you think backroom staff get enough credit in football? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. So who is in Carrick's room? First, the assistant manager. The most trusted voice in the building. Their job is not to agree. It is to challenge, to support, and when necessary, to say the thing nobody else in the building has the standing to say. A great assistant protects the head coach from blind spots, and every manager has them. Then the first team coaches. On the grass every single day. Taking Carrick's tactical ideas, a pressing shape, a transition trigger, a specific attacking pattern, and making them real through repetition and drilling. In the hundreds of small training moments that never appear in a highlight reel, but show up exactly when they're needed on a Saturday afternoon. Then the analytical team. This is where modern football is increasingly being won and lost. Video analysts, data scientists, specialists who can model pressing intensity and identify precisely where an opponent is vulnerable. These are not extras on the training ground. They are essential weapons. And the goalkeeping coach, perhaps the most overlooked role in football. Because one error, just one, can end a season. The work done on that training pitch every morning carries an enormous responsibility that rarely comes with recognition. Each of these coaches arrives before Carrick. Each stays after he leaves. And their names, you will rarely, if ever, hear them. What makes Carrick genuinely interesting is not just who the coaches are, it is how he uses them. At Middlesbrough, people inside the club spoke consistently about one quality that defined his management style. Something that sounds simple, but is surprisingly rare at the top level. He listened, not as a gesture, not as a management technique. He genuinely listened to his staff and adapted his thinking based on what they brought him. He didn't need to be the smartest person in the room. He needed the room to be smart. There are two types of managers in football: those who treat staff input as noise, and those who treat it as a genuine competitive edge. Carrick built the second version at Middlesbrough. That culture of collective intelligence is exactly what he has brought to Old Trafford. Fans won't see it in the first few weeks, but over time, the fingerprints of that coaching team will appear. In United's pressing structure, in their set-piece sharpness, in the calmness of players who step onto the pitch knowing exactly what they are supposed to do. There is a saying in football, rarely spoken out loud, but universally understood by anyone who has worked inside an elite club. The manager gets the credit. The staff earns it. When things go well, Carrick's name is celebrated. When things go wrong, his name carries the weight. But in both outcomes, his coaching team is already moving forward, planning the next session before the last one has even finished, without cameras, without recognition, without applause. This is the invisible infrastructure of elite football, one of the most underappreciated stories in the modern game. The question is not whether Carrick's coaching team matters. They do profoundly. The real question is why football makes it so easy to forget them. If this video is making you think, hit the like button. It takes 1 second and helps more people find stories like this one. Football tells us a clean story. One manager, one team, one result. But the real story, the one that explains why teams win when they shouldn't, happens before the match, in a room most of us will never enter, between people whose names most of us will never know. Carrick's return to Manchester United is more than a homecoming. It is a statement about a certain kind of football, thoughtful, structured, built on collective trust rather than individual genius. And while his name is on the front pages and on the lips of every supporter at Old Trafford, there is a team behind him just as responsible for what Manchester United becomes next. Remember their work, even if the game never remembers their names. Subscribe to Beyond 90 Minutes if you haven't already. Share this video with someone who loves the game, because these stories deserve a bigger audience. And leave me a comment. Who do you think is the most underrated coaching figure in football right now? A backroom coach, an assistant, an analyst, someone who deserves far more credit than they get. We'll see you in the next one.